Okay, so now we're going to talk about the list getting process, right? Okay, so this is the cool stuff. This is what you were waiting for, right? So, as with all good business processes, we have ourselves a formula. And what's going to be really golden is if I can actually remember what that formula means. And this, so here we go. TT is targeted and traffic. So it's targeted traffic. I can't tell you how nervous I am trying to remember what these things stand for. Okay, so IB, what could that be? It's an irresistible bribe. Doing pretty good so far. So basically you're taking targeted traffic and you're running it through an irresistible bribe. And FHL, you know what FHL stands for, right? That's the freaking huge list. Of course, we know that really the important thing isn't having a huge list, it's having a freaking responsive list. But I just thought freaking huge list sounded pretty cool, and freaking responsive list, it's okay. But you know, the reality is you want a big, effective list. So let's say freaking huge and responsive list. But again, we're just going to stick with the FHL. Is that okay? We go with that? Okay. I mean, this is really what it's about. When it comes to list building, what you need to do is you need to focus on list building. You should make that the focus of your business is building a list. The primary, number one overall goal of your business is to build your list. So this is the way you do it. You take traffic and you run it through a bribe and you get those people to join your list. Game over, that's all you have to do. Remember about the baby steps. It doesn't have to be 2,000 people a day. You don't have to have 100,000 people next week. You don't have to have 1 million people next month. What you want to do is build processes that pull traffic in and then squeeze that traffic so they join your list, and then you build a relationship with the list, and that's all there is to it. It's that simple, okay? Now, let's try to draw a diagram of exactly how you do this, because I've done a lot of list building, a lot of different ways, and all you want to do is build multiple traffic streams into bribes and get people to join your list. It's that simple. So let's draw this whole thing out here. Okay, so these days we have these wonderful things called squeeze pages. And basically, I'm sure you've seen plenty of squeeze pages. That's a web page where someone comes to your web page and they basically have a decision of either leaving their email address to get something from you or else leaving your website. Basically, you squeeze them into a decision. You force a decision. They either say yes or they say no. If they say yes, they join your list. If they say no, they leave your site. So like, I mean, a typical squeeze page might just be, you know, a headline, maybe a video, and an opt-in box, okay? Or it could be, you know, it could be a headline, a bunch of copy, then an opt-in box. Or it could be just a video and an opt-in box. Basically, when they come to that site, they either can opt in or they can leave. Now, you know, opt-in rates can really vary. You could be at 5% of the people that come to your site opt in. You could be at 50%. One of the things, I've done a lot of testing around squeeze pages, and that's one of the most fruitful places where you can test. It's very easy to test, to do like a split test of 2 designs, 2 headlines, 2 videos, 2 whatever. You test them against each other and you see which one does best. The beautiful thing, when you're doing a test, you need to drive a lot of traffic through the test and you need to get a lot of people taking action. So if you're selling something, it will take you longer to do a test than if you're simply testing an opt-in page. Because it's easy to get a lot of people to come to an opt-in page, and it's easy to get those actions to test. Now, like when you're testing, it all comes down to how many actions you've had. If you've had, you know, if you're only selling if you're selling an ebook and you're selling 3 of them a day, it might take you a couple months to have a test, or maybe 6 months to have a test and get statistically valid results. But if you're running 1,000 people or 100 people through your website and you're getting 30% of them opting in every day, you could do a test in just a few days' time. So, and we're talking about building your list, so this is a great place to test. That's a bit of a sidebar. We'll come back to that later on. But anyways, you build a squeeze page. And this is the way the whole thing works. You build a squeeze page. Then let's go for a different color here. We'll use blue for traffic. So then what you do is you go for different, one of the easiest ways initially to test or to start building is through pay-per-click traffic. So Google AdWords. So you spend some money and you drive people into your squeeze page. Okay. A lot of people are just starting out, they don't know how much these opt-ins are going to be worth. They're a little worried about spending money, but this is the quickest and fastest way. I mean, you could be driving traffic within an hour or two. Go get set up on Google AdWords. But the thing is I always want to have multiple streams. It's better to have 10 streams of traffic than it is to have one huge stream of traffic. So another thing you can do is you can write articles. Write 2 or 3 or 10 or 20 or 200 articles about your topic. Go to eZine Articles and post your articles on eZine Articles. Have a bio box at the bottom, the biography, a little box at the bottom that tells a little bit about you and drives traffic to your squeeze page. You can go to forums. As I mentioned earlier, you just do a search. You search for your keyword and then the word forum. So if it's learn guitar, it's guitar forums. You do that search at Google. Go to the forums. Don't spam the forums. Don't go on there and say, hey, go to my website or go opt in. Just start to contribute to the forum. First of all, spend like a week or at least a few days just watching the forum and observing, figuring out what's going on. And then you can start posting hints. You can start answering questions. Do that for some amount of time. And then you can put a signature file down or not a file, but a signature down at the bottom of the forum posts. You can do most software. You can do this automatically, and that will have a link back to your squeeze page. Definitely before you do this on a forum, get to know the lay of the land, get to know how people interact, and be a participant of that community. Don't just go in there and spam it. This is really important because this traffic, the opt-ins, the traffic and the opt-ins you get from forums will be some of the absolute best people that you have. You'll have the warmest relationship with those people. So this won't drive huge numbers, but it'll drive very, very good numbers. And often it'll drive people that are influential in your market, and they might even become affiliates or partners down the road. YouTube. If you put up a few videos, you can drive traffic to your squeeze page, both in your little bio there, but also by putting a link at the end of your video and drive traffic back that way. Social media. If you have a presence in social media, then you can use that presence to drive traffic back to your squeeze page as well. Now, this diagram looks nice and simple because we're driving all to one squeeze page. But the reality is you probably want multiple squeeze pages depending on where that traffic is coming from. So your social media might drive to one squeeze page, forums might drive to a different squeeze page, and pay-per-click might drive to a different squeeze page. Because you want people to be landing on a squeeze page that basically delivers on the promise, the link that got them there. And the people coming from YouTube, will be coming in a slightly different mindset than people coming from pay-per-click or forums. You can start a blog. If you start blogging, you can pull in traffic as well. Often that's one of the great ways to get quick search engine rankings. So if you do keyword-focused blogs, so if you find some of the top keywords and you write articles based on those keywords. So if it's learn how to play the F chord on the guitar, is one of the top key phrases. guitar F chord, right? Okay, so if that's one of the top search phrases, then write an article on your blog about how to play the F chord on a guitar. And make that blog post, about anywhere from 400 to 500 words long. Have that keyword phrase in the title of your blog post. Have it in the first sentence of the blog post. Have it in somewhere near the end of the blog post, and then sprinkle it once or twice in the main column of the blog post. And now you've got a keyword focused blog post that can pull traffic on that search term. And then in that blog, you might want to squeeze people right in the blog, or you might want to have a link into your squeeze page. So what you're doing is you're just driving multiple sources of traffic into your squeeze page. As I mentioned earlier, you might want multiple squeeze pages. So you would it would more end up looking something like this. And maybe the blog goes to here, and this isn't there, and maybe the forums go to here. And this is all very easy to test. If you use the Google Webmaster Tools, Google Optimizer, you can test these squeeze pages and see. And you're basically looking to see what kind of conversion. So conversion is, if you get 100 people coming into the squeeze page and you get 20 of them subscribing, then 20 over 100 is 20%. And you always want to be working to drive the conversion rate of your squeeze pages as high as possible. So then what we have is basically all these squeeze pages are driving people onto your list. And even there, you might want multiple lists if these are really very, very different. If they're coming for a different bribe, then you're going to want to have them probably going onto different lists, but we'll get to that later. So basically, the squeeze page, what that does is it's got the bribe, okay? And the bribe is what they're going to get. And remember, we talked about their dreams, their aspirations, their fears, their frustrations, what they're after. So basically, you want to create a bribe, and the bribe could be any number of things. It could be a PDF report that they get. It could be just a series of emails that helps them play the F chord on the guitar or grow big tomatoes. It could be a video, that you create a video for them. It could be an audio. It could be a teleseminar. It could be a personal consultation with you. It could be a piece of software. It could be a survey. Surveys work really well. You run them into a survey, and it tells them why they're having trouble with the F chord, or why they can't land a gig as a professional actor or whatever. But basically, you have to figure out what they want and what you can deliver to them. And it doesn't have to be that fancy. It could be a simple PDF report that tells them the 4 tricks that you learned on how to play that big guitar or how to grow tomatoes. How to grow big tomatoes. So basically, the squeeze page has copy on it that tells them about the bribe that they're going to get. So then after they opt in and they join your list, then you send them the bribe. You can send them to a page where they can download that PDF, where they can watch the video, listen to the audio, where they can make that make that appointment to have a personal consultation with you, whatever it is. But that's what it comes down to, is having this bribe on your squeeze page, and then driving the traffic into the squeeze page, making that offer for the bribe, and then optimizing it so you get as many people to take that bribe and join your list as possible. That's the basics of list building. It's really that simple. And adding in these traffic sources is the key. Over time, you don't do them all in one day. It's not like one day all of a sudden you post 100 times in the forums and you put up 50 articles and 20 YouTube videos or whatever. It's an iterative process, one thing at a time, that you work on it. You slowly put in these traffic sources, and you slowly optimize your squeeze page to build your list. It's that simple.